Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now today I am going through some data collected by some friends regarding a new flagship skill for your light cone and testing its AA abilities. So shout out to Red Leviathan and Kiro, or Cairo, however that's pronounced, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, for designing and collecting this data. They designed the tests, they conducted them, but everything is by them. I have literally just been given the reports and any relevant information, and I put it into this PowerPoint, and I'm going to gracefully share it with you all as Red Leviathan and Kiro gave me permission to. So yes, this does mainly focus around the light cone, whether it's how its ability functions and how well it does so, stuff like that. And there are two other ships featured in this, which is the Constantine the Great and the Mare Tranquillitatis. And yeah, so as you'll see, there various tests have been done to test different aspects of these ships and how we can try and manipulate this new ability and try and get more out of it. Really, try and get some new anti-aircraft into our fleets. And yeah, the results are kind of mixed. So let's dive into it. First we have scenario 1, oh god, don't do this to me. Scenario 1A, where we've got 3 light cone and 10 Mare Tranquillitatis. These are both the A variant. All these ships in this are A variant, so just the base. The Tranquillitatis is the flagship, and we have no upgrades on the AA weapons. We can see we've got pretty measly results in just over 2 minutes. All these reports are about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. We've only got about 3,000 anti-air from a total of 13 dedicated anti-air ships, which is not a lot. We move on. We've got 1B, which is exactly the same except we've increased our hit rate, and we got some more from the light cone, but we got less from the Mare Tranquillitatis, which is kind of strange. But yeah, we still, for this much investment into anti-air, that's still not much at all. But for the just for reference, we've got the abilities here. For the next test, this is more so relevant, but this was also relevant aside from the flagship skill in the previous test. We've got the light cone flagship skill coming up, and we had plus 20% anti-aircraft hit rate on the anti-aircraft UAVs, aerial denial UAVs. For the Mare Tranquillitatis, we've just got the missile system, and we've increased the hit rate against aircraft, so fighters and corvettes, by 30%. And do note, missiles are innately bad versus aircraft because of hit rate and a few mechanics like that. You know, missiles aren't exactly legendary at shooting these super fast targets, at least in this game. So that's what we've got. So scenario 1C, this the upgrades that we just talked about are for this test and all ones following. We've got the light cone as flagship this time, and we've got the maxed AA hit rates. And we can see we still didn't, we got more than our previous ones, but still not a lot. So yep, that's worth noting. For an extra 40 tech points, we really didn't get, we got like maybe a 1000 anti-aircraft damage boost. Let's check that. Yeah, we got like 700, or closer to 1000. We got about 1000, just under 1000 anti-aircraft damage for 40 tech points. That is pretty bad. So yeah, so far these two ships aren't really great on anti-aircraft on their own. However, we have the Constantine the Great, and with this we've paired it up with two modules. Now, most people won't have access, well, at least most free-to-play players probably won't have access to these particular modules, or the tech points to increase them. There's 20 tech points in just equipping these, and then extra tech points into actually upgrading things like hit rate and stuff. But as you can see, we've added a fair bit of anti-aircraft damage. We've got about 7,000 on our D1 module and about 7,500 on our B3 module. Now it's worth noting that B3 we've got a bunch of anti-aircraft pulse weapons. Pulse weapons are good. They have good hit rate, they do energy damage, they are optimal anti-aircraft weapons, not because they do energy damage exactly, but because they innately have a very high hit rate. For the D1, we've got an anti-aircraft missile system, so its hit rate innately is probably going to be a little bit lower. But yeah, so we've got two different styles of anti-aircraft weaponry equipped onto our Constantine the Great. So we have scenario 2A. Here we've got our light cones, our Mater Tranquillitatis, and a single CTG with the two modules. We've got the Mater Tranquillitatis as flagship, which is essentially no flagship skill, it's just the focus fire. And we've maxed the hit rate upgrades on all AA weapons, including the CTG, to my understanding. And we can see the CTG did absolutely no damage to the aircraft whatsoever, despite being equipped with all of these anti-aircraft modules, and we got pretty measly results from the other two anti-aircraft ships, worse than without featuring the Constantine the Great. But now we have the light cone as the flagship, maxed anti-aircraft, same modules, all that kind of stuff. And you can see that while we still got pretty measly results from our two anti-aircraft ships, we did get over 12,000 damage from the Constantine the Great. Now, 12,000 damage from a single battle cruiser, it's not a lot, but it's more than what a lot of other ships can do. And if we're using multiple Constantine the Greats and we're perhaps investing less into the Mater Tranquillitatis and stuff like that, then we can have some pretty good anti-aircraft capabilities. There is a battle report that I missed. Well, I didn't really miss, but I didn't bring into this PowerPoint, half because I forgot about it, half because I couldn't really find it amongst all of the messages on the Discord. But there was 4 CTG and maybe up to 3 light cone. I'm pretty sure it was only like 1, but it could be 3. I'm not really sure. And we had like 80,000 damage from the Constantine the Greats in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, which is really good. So in theory, we can have 1 light cone and we can pair it up with effective anti-aircraft weaponry, so perhaps not missiles of the Mater Tranquillitatis, but other anti-aircraft weapons, and we can switch on those anti-aircraft capabilities by making them row-wide. It is important that we consider the actual effects of the light cone's flagship skill, and I will actually go into that in detail in just a moment. So if we go to the light cone's flagship skill, I'll get into it right now for you all. It uses the UAV system to coordinate the projectile anti-aircraft weaponry of ships in the mid-row, extending the anti-aircraft range to same row. So this applies only to projectile weapons. So if we're talking projectile weapons, not including energy weapons, then we got 12,000 damage just from the missile array. But I don't believe that that was the case. I believe that it would affect all actual weapons, not UAVs. It's worded kind of strangely, but I believe it's meant to mean that UAVs will not be affected, but anti-aircraft weapon systems, so missiles, cannons, pulse weapons, etc., will be affected by this because our UAVs are now giving them data and stuff like that to target ships, to target aircraft that are attacking allied ships in the same row. Now this only affects the middle row. So any dedicated anti-aircraft weapons that we have in the middle row will theoretically protect the same row all the time. So if we're talking about our Constantine the Great, it would be protecting the light cones and the Mater Tranquillitatis from attackers attacking the middle row. And then if we had, for instance, let's say we had the Mare Tranquillitatis Pulse variant that does have pretty good anti-aircraft, we can have it targeting all mid-row or protecting all mid-row instead of just for the duration of its strategy, which is pretty useful. So that is how that strategy works. We increase the range of our anti-aircraft weapons, not UAVs, to protect the middle row, and it only affects the middle row. So, in summary, I'm not going to do a summary just yet. I will summarize the abilities, and then I'll go into more of a detailed explanation in how we can actually potentially utilize this light cone's flagship skill. We have the Mare Tranquillitatis and light cone's innate anti-aircraft capabilities are very limited, as shown in tests, in all tests really, but in particular 1A and 1B. But in all the tests, we had pretty measly anti-aircraft results from those two ships. The light cone's flagship skill did improve these considerably by a reasonable percentage. However, due to these weapons being flawed, this boost still led to subpar anti-air results. So pretty much what I'm trying to say there is we had bad anti-aircraft weapons and we increased them by a good percentage, but because they were so bad in the first place, they didn't get a very high number in the end. So yeah, that's what that's saying. But the light cone's flagship skill enabled the CTG's anti-aircraft weapons to function, leading to reasonable anti-air capabilities, and this can be extrapolated to similar anti-aircraft weapon systems, hopefully. So we can use the light cone sort of as an on switch to say, okay, anti-aircraft weapons that actually can function will now protect our whole mid-row, which, if we consider it, is a pretty big damage boost theoretically, and hopefully we can pair this up with some other potent anti-aircraft weapons and or ships, and perhaps get some really good anti-aircraft builds. And if you want, I can do a whole video on just theory crafting anti-aircraft fleets, so let me know if you want that. Otherwise, I'll just save the time for other videos. So yeah. Now, it is worth noting that the light cone's flagship skill does cost 40 tech points, so for many free-to-play players or those who don't invest large amounts of money, this is a very large investment. Even for me, I could not afford to get this flagship skill unless I dedicated a large amount of time and resources into getting the combat microchips and the tech points into the light cone, as well as the XP from battles and stuff, farming XP and that, for the light cone specifically, to actually get this flagship skill. Now, if you're towards the end of your server or you have like a lot of high level ships already there and you're bringing in tech combat microchips right from the start, or you just have a lot of tech points in this ship already, then this might not be so bad for you. But for the vast majority of players who don't have a lot of tech points in all of their ships and rely on XP as a primary source of leveling up your ships, this investment into the light cone can be quite a large one, which really sucks. And then if you combine this with the tech point cost in upgrading anti-aircraft weapons, so your other ships that require tech point investment, it just gets really hard. You need a lot of tech points, a lot of XP, and stuff like that. So in my opinion, the devs let that egg spoil, because this really could be a 15 tech point upgrade. Like so many of the other flagship skills, it could be a fraction of the price, and it would be fairly balanced in my opinion, especially when you compare it to other strats. And yeah, like a lot of other things from this last update, it really does favour those who invest a lot more money, and makes it incredibly difficult for those who don't to actually reap the benefits as well. In my opinion, that sucks as a free-to-play player. But yeah, so that's essentially the light cone as it stands. I haven't got other tests done just yet. If there have been, I don't have the results. So we'll just have to see how the light cone can synergize with other options. But for now, it's potentially going to be useful if you can afford it. that strategy plus not the strategy, but the flagship skill plus the anti-aircraft strat that you can get in its warning system, perhaps just including one light cone with 52 tech points just for those two upgrades, and then just a whole bunch of other anti-aircraft ships and anti-aircraft fighters and stuff. Perhaps we can get a large amount of anti-aircraft in just a single fleet that actually works. But of course, we'll just have to let time tell and see how that can actually work out. If you would like to know anything specific, let me know and I can see if I can do tests for that or make a video on that particular topic. If you have conducted tests, feel free to hit me up on Discord and send me the battle reports. Tell me, what exactly you're testing, any upgrades that you used, etc., etc. And if it's a good test with definitive results and it's done properly, then I will endeavor to feature it on this channel and share it with everybody else if that's what you want. Just putting it out there that I am willing to do that. I am willing to share people's hard work with everyone else if that's what they want, and I will credit you properly at the start as I did with Red Leviathan and Kiro. So yes, I don't want to try and steal anyone's hard work from them. Just sharing knowledge is a handy thing to do in this game, because sometimes it's incredibly difficult to defeat very nasty opponents. If you enjoyed this, please consider commenting and subscribing. All the rest of it, the stuff that people like to do on YouTube or sometimes don't like to do, completely up to you. And I will see you next time. See ya!